Hello everyone, this is part 5 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Darth Sage stirred when an intense disturbance in the Force basically shouted for him to awaken from his slumber, and the Sith apprentice quickly got off the ground to obey. He turned his head to the disturbance the Force told him was near and used its power to give the optical organs a sight beyond normal sight. What his eyes now saw through the Force was the special Junin in charge of the second part of the Chunin exams, and she was fighting her old sensei Orochimaru of the Sannin. It wasn't hard to recognize the man, as Haku had provided him with a bingo book that originally belonged to Zabuza, and had read through its contents in hopes of finding future tools from that particular source. The idea was soon ruined though when the Sith realized that given how word would reach other missing nin of how Zabuza was betrayed by Gato, they would either turn the boy down upon making an offer, or possibly attack just to prevent any future repeats of what Gato did. Still, it was information that kept the Sith in the loop of who was who in the world, and to be cautious of in the event future dealings must be done. Of course, Darth Sage would never do business with Orochimaru, and even now had planned to screw up the Sannin's invasion of the Leaf with the chance of the man meeting his end in the process. As the young boy watched the battle unfold, an idea formed in his mind on how to use this little scuffle to his advantage, and further keep the Sannin from suspecting soonest change in the invasion plans. You've gotten stronger, Anko-chan. I'm impressed. Still, you can never defeat me, as I taught you everything you know, and yet, it's not everything I know, said Orochimaru in his usual taunting fashion. Just you wait, you bastard. I'm going to rip your guts out and then stuff 'em down your throat, said Anko with the Sannin laughing his snake-like laugh at her. So hostile. So bloodthirsty. I'm going to miss that about you after I extinguish your life force from this world, said Orochimaru, as he had blocked her kunai strike and kicked the woman into a nearby tree. Don't count on it, said Darth Sage, as he sent Orochimaru sailing back into a tree across from Anko, and now stood between them. Another interloper. May I ask who you are, stranger? Said Orochimaru, as he found the mysterious power behind that attack to be hurtful, and interesting at the same time. A Leaf shinobi. Like her. You really didn't think getting into Konoha would be easy, did you? Said Darth Sage, knowing the only way to take down a liar was to be an even bigger liar while making it seem like the lie was the truth. Since I am from this village, my answer would have to be yes, said Orochimaru, as he was looking over this new figure with interest, and wondered what that power was the boy had used. And your secret partner within the Leaf's government in all of this didn't have a hand in it? Said Darth Sage, knowing the only way for Orochimaru could get into the Leaf was through someone from within and had influential pull that rivaled the Hokage. How does he know that? Danzo assured me the utmost secrecy. Not only that, but I have not found the Uchiha boy anywhere, thought Orochimaru while the Sith read his mind and the image of the Warhawk appeared, so boy knew who the name belonged to when it came to recognizing him. So sure of yourself, aren't you, Orochimaru? Did he also tell you the Uchiha would be participating in the Chunin exams this year? Sorry to spoil your fun, said Darth Sage, knowing the Sannin would become enraged at that. Where is the Uchiha? Said Orochimaru angrily, but was instantly pushed back by that same invisible power from before, and slowly being lifted off the ground while feeling his throat constricting. Somewhere in the village. Somewhere safe from you. The real question you should ask yourself now though, is did my secret partner screw up? Or did my secret partner rat me out? Said Darth Sage, as he walked up to the Sannin, and drew Lunar Eclipse from its sheath, before slicing off the man's right arm in one clean slice. Ahhh, said Orochimaru, as he felt the pain of the limb being cut, and then it slowly slicing off his body. Run along now, little snake. The Sandaime has neither the time nor patience to deal with someone so insignificant, said Darth Sage, as he threw the Sannin away, and heard the man's body crash through a few thick trees to further add to the list of injuries. Turning around, he saw Anko looking at him in shock, and awe at what the Sith had just done before she realized just what the boy had done. She instantly became angry with him, trying to rush the Sith to cause him pain out of her own personal anguish, and then bring back what was left to the Hokage. Sensing this in advance, Darth Sage sent her flying back into the tree Orochimaru had kicked her into moments ago, and then grabbed the surprised woman by the face to read her mind before using the force to make the hostile special Junin sleep. Like earlier with the red-haired girl with glasses, this woman was not one of the people in this village he intended to take, but seeing a fragment of her life made him see that things had changed, and could use it to his advantage. Sealing Anko away, the Sith moved with an increase in purpose, as he knew it wouldn't be long before things got out of control, and have more than even he could handle. Kumo Genin team. No sign of either targets. I hope we get the female one. I don't like the idea of spreading my legs for the male Hyuga. Even if he probably won't know it when we knock him out to do the deed, said Simui, as the blonde-haired woman with the impressive rack, which she kept concealed to make herself seem younger, and hated how the bindings put a real uncomfortable amount of pressure on her body. We can't take him with us. He's a branch family member, which means a cage bird seal is on his forehead, and will destroy his eyes before we even get halfway back to Kumo when they activate it, said Karui, knowing the Raikage had sent him to capture the girl and at the very least get impregnated by the boy in order to possess the Byakugan eyes of the Hyuga clan. We have to keep searching for as long as possible. We already have the 2 necessary types of scrolls in order to qualify for the next round of the Chunin exams, so we have to find either target quickly before our time in this forest of death runs out, said Yugito, as she didn't like the idea of impregnating herself with the male Hyuga's sperm, but the Raikage had told her that a Nibi's power would possibly make a new form of the eyes that would become unstoppable. Heads up, kitten. I sense someone is coming here towards you. Someone strong, dark, and dangerous, said Nibi, as its vessel stiffened, and let out a cat-like moan of anger to inform the other 2 Kumo shinobi of the impending arrival of someone with potentially hostile intentions. Come on out. We know you're here, said Yugito, as she heard an amused chuckle, and let out a cat-like hiss when the shadow of the figure appeared to their right. This is unexpected. And here I thought only Sabaku no Gara was the only Jinchuriki competing in the Chunin exams, said Darth Sage while seeing Yugito hiss at him again and her teammates draw weapons. You must be suicidal to face the 3 of us. Especially me considering what I am, said Yugito while the Sith just let out another chuckle. Hardly. I also sense your intentions for being in these exams have nothing to do with the advancement in rank. In fact, I would wager that none of you are Genin, and you are here for far less noble purposes, said Darth Sage, as he felt the Nibi was blocking the deeper regions of Yugito's mind, but the other 2 did not have such a mental defense, and read their thoughts on the business they were here to handle. And how did you come to that conclusion, said Simui, as she readied her tanto to fight the Sith, and just saw the boy smile behind his hood. All 3 of you were complaining about it 2 seconds ago. You really should learn to keep your voices down in a terrain where they tend to travel, said Darth Sage, as he was not about to reveal his mind-reading process to them, and the chance they had some way to block him naturally with a means of turning it on or off with ease. He's lying, kitten. He tried to read your mind and I had to block him, said Nibi while Yugito frowned at this news and wondered if he was some kind of leaf shinobi from the Yamanaka clan. Why are you here? Said Karui, as she had her sword out, and ready to slice this possible enemy to pieces. To recruit you away from Kumo and over to my side simply because I think your village doesn't seem to truly appreciate any of your talents, said Darth Sage, who took a step forward, and dodged an attack from Yugito manipulation of Nibi's fire she launched at him. Take another step and you're barbecue, said Yugito while the Sith watched the fiery attack burn the ground behind him. Impressive. Most impressive. You will make a great addition to my side, said Darth Sage, as he took another step forward, then moved to his left to avoid Karu's vertical slash, ducked down under the vertical one that followed, and punched the woman in the stomach causing the Kumo shinobi to slide back. I'm not going anywhere with you. None of us are, said Yugito defiantly at him. That's where you're wrong. Very wrong, said Darth Sage, as he drew Lunar Eclipse from its sheath once more, and motioned the Kenjutsu users to come at him. That sword. Quickly, kitten, tell them not to engage the boy, said Nibi in a panic, as it sensed the power behind the blade, and sang clearly to the demon cat of instant death at the hands of the user if he were opposed by them. Wait. Nibi says to stop, said Yugito, but it was already too late, as Karui and Simui had already charged forward to meet their enemy in combat. The young Sith apprentice merely slipped into lightsaber form 2, Makishi stance, as the 2 Kumo shinobi came at him, and began the intricate dance of death. Yugito watched, as the weapons of her teammates were destroyed with a few quick slashes of his sword, and had deep slash marks along the torso that required they get medical attention immediately. Care to join them? Said Darth Sage, as he motioned with his left hand at the two on the ground, bleeding, and in severe pain from the damage done. Why are you doing this? You don't wear a Konoha headband or any other to show your allegiance to a village. So why go after us? Said Yugito, as she saw him step over Simui, and towards her. Because I want to and I can. You three are wasting your talents serving a village that does not appreciate you in the slightest. Your cage tells you to participate in this year's Chunin exams and orders the capturing of the Hyuga clan's bloodline. If not through an unmarked female main family member brought back to Kumo, then by impregnating yourselves through a male branch member, and learn the secrets of their bloodline that way. The fact you were hoping to catch the former among the two participating in these Chunin exams means you dislike the idea of the second option, said Darth Sage while Yugito gritted her teeth in anger. Stay out of our heads, said Yugito while the young Sith smiled at her. But it's so much fun. Besides, is your loyalty to the Raikage that much greater than your own dignity, and fornicating with a Hyuga male just to have his offspring? Or their own dignity for that matter? Each of you were assigned to find the male Hyuga together and then get pregnant with his child, so you had 3 Hyuga children in Kumo. It's sad you don't know what the Raikage intends to do once such a successful mission was completed and do with those 3 babies, said Darth Sage in a sad tone while Yugito eyed him and then his sword still in his hand. What do you mean? Said Yugito, as she saw a strange look on his face, and he seemed to be looking at something far off that her eyes couldn't. I have the power to see the future, ni Yugito. Had I not been here, your team's assigned mission to capture the bloodline through the secondary means would have been achieved, and all 3 of you would become mothers each with your Hyuga child. Sadly, 2 of them, each from your teammates, will not survive being infants, as their Byakugan eyes will be extracted for study, and yours will be forever robbed from you after the Raikage lies to keep your offspring under his control to be his secret weapon, said Darth Sage while Yugito looked at him in shock, anger, and yet with a hint of fear at the possible truth behind his words. You lie. Raikage-sama would never do that. He would never, needlessly destroy 2 Hyuga children, and keep mine from me. Said Yugito, as tears threatened to rise up in her eyes, and the thought of being denied a life she had created was unspeakable in terms of cruelty. You would be surprised how far your Raikage would go to know the secrets behind the Byakugan eyes. Ask the Nibi itself if I'm lying to you. It will be able to detect a lie, said Darth Sage, as he saw her eyes glaze over, and knew Nibi was talking to the woman. Well, Nibi, is he telling the truth? Thought Yugito, seeing Nibi not looking her in the eyes while having a downcast look on its face. Yes, he's telling the truth, said Nibi with Yugito's eyes looking at the demon in disbelief. Which one? You detecting a lie from him? About him seeing the future? About what the Raikage would do to those 3 children? Thought Yugito with the Nibi looking away. Everything. He told you the truth about everything, said Nibi while Yugito didn't want to believe it and showed on her face when re-entering the real world. From the tears in your eyes, I take it the Nibi gave you the answer that you didn't want to hear, and wished I lied, said Darth Sage, as he saw the tears on Yugito's face increase, and soon she couldn't look in his general direction. That bastard. I hate him so much right now, said Yugito while the Nibi's power flared around her form while drawing on its power through her anger. So why continue working for him? Knowing what he'll make you give up without even knowing it, said Darth Sage while seeing the woman let out some of her anger simply by burning a good chunk of the forest around them. And like you'll be any different, said Yugito accusingly at him. Of course I will be different, said Darth Sage with Yugito narrowing her eyes at him. And how do I know you won't screw me over like the Raikage? Said Yugito knowing the Sith in front of her could easily do that just like the Raikage himself. I wouldn't do that to a fellow Jinchuriki, said Darth Sage seeing Yugito's eyes widen at his admission. You're a Jinchuriki. Which one? Said Yugito seeing him sheathe his sword. The strongest of them all. Kyubi. Said Darth Sage seeing the woman back up in even greater fear. You. I know about you. The Sandaime Hokage has been using every available resource at his disposal to find and bring you back to the leaf. Said Yugito seeing the boy just let out another chuckle. Oh, he can try. Make no mistake about it, I want to see him suffer for his actions against me, and see his heart break when the poison I inject into this village brings it to an end, said Darth Sage, as he saw Yugito looking at him curiously while walking over to the 2 downed Kumo shinobi, and put a hand on each of them where their wounds were. What are you doing? Said Yugito seeing the Sith closing his eyes in concentration. Healing your teammates and my new subordinates, said Darth Sage, calling upon the dark side to make the wounds close. We never agreed to being your subordinates, said Karui, as she had been awake, if just barely to overhear the entire conversation the Sith had with Yugito, and what the Raikage had planned for any Hyuga children they brought into the world. Are you saying that serving the Raikage and offering up the Hyuga children you would bring into this world through your mission is a much better life? Said Darth Sage before standing and letting the two women slowly do the same. I still can't believe the Raikage would do that, said Simui, as she could stand the part of the mission where being impregnated was part of it, but the loss of that very child, which she would eventually make her become fatter than a beached whale, and then go through hours of intense painful labor only to lose the child for the eyes it carried, did not sit well with her. He would in order to understand them through an examination once removed. Yugito's child would have been spared because her Hyuga offspring's eyes would become much stronger on account of the Nibi inside of her, said Darth Sage, seeing the three of them still trying to come to terms with what happened. I can't serve him, said Yugito at last while walking a few steps away from the group. And yet you don't have anywhere to go, said Darth Sage while letting his words hang in the air for a second until she spoke the word that he wanted her to say next. Except with you. That's what you want me to say right now, don't you? Said Yugito accusingly, and saw the Sith smile, knowing that was exactly what he wanted her to say to him. Possibly. When you consider your options, you only have one person you can turn to for help, and that person would be me, said Darth Sage with a knowing smile. And us too, right? Said Karui in a dry semi-sarcastic tone. Who do you think the Raikage will blame for the failure of your mission? Who will the Hokage punish for losing one of his two Jinchuriki upon your return? He will kill the two and publicly just to get his point across, said Darth Sage, seeing the two beautiful women look at Yugito and then at him. Okay, we're in, said Simui with Karui nodding her head. Excellent. Of course, for this to work, I need you three to be out like lights, and be sealed away where no one can sense you, said Darth Sage before using the force on Simui and Karui while Yugito remained standing because of the Nibi inside of her. I prefer to be awake, thank you, said Yugito, sensing the outside influence of his power trying to make her fall asleep. Too bad. Sleep. Darth Sage, as he wasn't going to put up with the woman's sudden desire to be stubborn, and resist his power. Well, at least she will get a nice cat nap before seeing him again, said Nibi while Yugito collapsed and fell into unconsciousness. Damn it, that took a lot more out of me than I thought. Time to pack up my 3 new tools and be off, thought Darth Sage, as he put them all in storage scrolls, made several shadow clone before running off, and taking his prizes out of the village. Now the hard part began. Hokage's office several days later. What? Yelled the Hokage, as the Junin senseis of Team 8 and 9 came into his office to tell him what their remaining students from the Forest of Death told them. Our students have been kidnapped, Hokage-sama. Shino and Kiba both told me Hinata was kidnapped, with the culprit being Naruto, who has gone by the name Darth Sage. Said Kurenai, who had seen her students after they made it to the tower since they were that close, and used the 2 scrolls in their possession to reach her. Same with me, Hokage-sama. Lee and Tenten were both taken to be used as tools by the Uzumaki boy for his future plans, said Guy, as he didn't want to lose his mini-me, and his Kanoiki weapons master. Anko-san is also missing. Several of the proctors went to see her about one of the grass teams being killed before the second part of the exams, and that someone had entered into the exams illegally for foul purposes. She went into the Forest of Death to investigate, but never came back, and the Inuzuka clan says there is a strong scent of snakes in the area. They tracked her to, with second scent being Orochimaru, before picking up another scent we believe to be Naruto's, said Kakashi, as he had helped them with the tracking with his dog summons, and found the spot where the apparent confrontation took place. There is also no sign of Kumo's team or the other grass team, though the second grass team from that village may have fallen to foul play at the hands of the Forest of Death itself. We did find the bodies of 2 of them, plus a big bear, and they showed signs of being mauled. Though we're not sure what killed the bear, since it looked like it was cut vertically in half in such a clean way with a weapon of some kind. Iwa's team seems lost, with only the one girl on the team being the only real survivor of what she says were the animals in the Forest of Death attacking them all at once. I suspect she's lying, but if we try anything, I fear it may lead to war with Iwa, since they would suspect us of foul play, and it could lead us to war. She wants no further part in taking the rest of the Chunin exams when we finished speaking with her, said Inuzuka Hana, as she had joined the search party after hearing her little brother got messed up, and at the hands of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki no less. If Naruto was here, he would have stayed someplace where we wouldn't bother looking for him. There may even be a chance he's still here trying to take more people. Track him down. All of you, said the Sandaime, seeing the group nod quickly before they moved out to find the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and for some, their lost students. With the group of Chunin or higher-ranked shinobi gone, the Sandaime Hokage put his hands together, and went through everything in his head with what he knew. Orochimaru was suspected of being in the village, a major problem he had failed to handle himself all those years ago, and apparently Naruto was the infamous Darth Sage he now suspected was running Gato Kanpani, with that Haku girl being his right hand. Somehow, the boy had been able to take down several genin teams, plus a special Junin if he suspected was the case, then captured the ones he thought had the most potential, and made off with them right under his very nose. But why not try to grab the Suna team? Or the Sound team? Or the new Ino Shikacho that was Team 10? It didn't make sense. So what do you want to do now? Said Jiraiya, appearing in the room after entering the window, knowing they had to finish the Chunin exams somehow with what they had. Finish the Chunin exams. The Kazekage's children made it to the central tower first and each of them dominated the preliminaries. The Sound team was destroyed entirely with the exception of one named Dosu being the only one to survive it after beating one Akamaiki Choji, and then Shikamaru from Team 10 will also be competing in the finals, said the Sandaime, with Jiraiya wincing at the fact there were more foreign shinobi in the finals than there were Leaf shinobi. This was going to hurt the Leaf in the long run with the clients. Kumo's going to give us one hell of a headache when that Junin reports back to the Raikage. What do we tell him? Said Jiraiya, knowing things were getting really bad for the Leaf right now. Nothing. He knows fully well that those Kumo shinobi signed the waiver and we aren't considered responsible for anything that happens to them. If he finds out Naruto took not only his shinobi, but ours, the Raikage will dispatch a team to retrieve all of them before we can, and that will make things worse, said the Sandaime, knowing that legally the Leaf was in the clear, but the Raikage never really cared about legality, and would most likely pound his fists until the lightning daimyo told him otherwise. And Naruto? I doubt he's still here, said Jiraiya, seeing the Sandaime scowl at him. We know where the boy is. Once the Chunin exams are over, you bring him back, and seal away his memory so we can start from scratch, said the Sandaime, seeing Jiraiya rub the back of his head. You're going to turn him into a mindless weapon, aren't you? Said Jiraiya accusingly at the Sandaime Hokage. I tried being nice, Jiraiya. I played the gentle grandfather figure to him, and this is how the boy repays my kindness. His life belongs to me, Jiraiya. Before I die, the boy will be the most dangerous weapon in Konoha, and forever loyal to the Leaf until the day he dies. Said the Sandaime while glaring at his former student. You were playing nice with him, old man. Had you actually shown real affection and not let the people walk all over him, then thing wouldn't have become so bad, said Jiraiya while the Sandaime slammed his hand on the desk and pointed to the window for the Sannin to jump out of. That boy's purpose in life is to serve the Hokage and the Leaf village. I am the Hokage and I say the boy will be molded into a weapon whether you approve of it or not, said the Sandaime, seeing Jiraiya scowl and move to the window. You know, if Tsunade ever finds out we lied to her, she'll kill us both, and make sure it's a slow painful death, said Jiraiya, as he thought about Tsunade, and the Sandaime had reached for his pipe to smoke it. Which is why you must bring the boy back quickly and keep Tsunade away from him, said the Hokage, knowing the woman's temper was something to be feared when she had unleashed it on her enemies. Even Orochimaru thought twice before facing an enraged Senju Tsunade. I have to. If she ever finds out, Tsunade will see him first, and then she may tell him of his heritage. I don't know if Naruto's tapped into the Kyuubi's power yet, but it's clear he's got some kind of power at his command, and I don't want to see that directed at me when he comes asking for the answer to question of why we kept such information from him in the first place. Said Jiraiya, knowing that was the Sandaime's dumb idea after sealing Kyuubi into Naruto. I did what I thought was right, said the Hokage, which made Jiraiya scoff, and shake his head in disbelief. You did what you did out of spite. You did what you did out of mindless hate for the boy over the loss of your wife. I'm as much to blame for lying to Tsunade about him being dead and letting you get away with it for those 8 long years that were the boy's hell in this village, said Jiraiya, knowing it would get under the Sandaime's skin. Don't try to run from your duties to me, Jiraiya, said the Hokage in a warning-like tone while glaring holes in his former student's head. I'm not. I'm going down with this sinking ship of a village just as you are. Though I have to ask, old man, when you die, and face your wife on the other side, how do you plan to explain your actions to her? Said Jiraiya before leaping out the window. I don't have to explain anything to anyone. I am the god of shinobi and I don't answer to anyone. Not even her, thought the Sandaime, as he couldn't look at the picture of his late wife anymore, and took it off his desk into the compartment on his right side. Konoha Red Light District. The group of Leaf Shinobi moved quickly through the area, following the scent of their shinobi kidnapper, and eventually made their way to the seedy hotel Naruto seemed to have stayed while in Konoha. The owner of the hotel was vague in his talk with them, as he really didn't pay attention to the kid, and just told them to find the kid's room on the 3rd floor. They glared at the moron before running up the stairs, made it to Naruto's chosen room and kicked it down and entered with the intent of making the boy tell them where the missing genin were. And saw explosive tags all around the room, ignited. Shit. Run, said Kakashi, as the group ran to the nearest window, and jumped through it just in time before the building exploded. Damn it, said Kurenai angrily, as they had been duped by a 13-year-old brat, and was now somewhere possibly outside the village. The question now was, where? Gato Kanpani HQ at the moment. Haku, said Darth Sage barked, walking into the large yet secret room he told the female ice user would be used for holding his future subordinates until they were ready. Yes, Sage-sama, said Haku, as she appeared instantly before him, and kneeled in his presence. I have the last of them here. We have a little less than a full month to prepare my new subordinates before the hammer is dropped on us, said Darth Sage seriously, as he threw the scrolls at Haku, and she caught each of them. With all due respect, Sage-sama, a month is not enough to work with so many, and there is a risk of, said Haku, but was silenced when the Sith glared at her, and she once again kept her head bowed low. I am well aware of the risks, Haku. Zabuza trained you in the shinobi arts with ruthless efficiency when under his command. You will be doing the same when assisting me in their training, and they will be loyally obey my commands. This is non-negotiable, said Darth Sage, as he was sweating slightly, and cursed his need to get away from the leaf before past memories reminded him of the weak boy he had once been. I understand, Sage-sama, said Haku, as she knew better than to question him, and yet worry filled her at seeing the Sith appearing fatigued from the mission. Good. Set things up. I must rest for a time, said Darth Sage, as he left the room, and to the elevator system. Nodding to his retreating form, Haku unsealed the scrolls, and placed each individual in separate rooms set up with this large one. As with the others sent to her, Haku removed any weapons they had, and put paper seal locks on the outside of the doors. The rooms themselves had a bed, bathroom, and closet space for clothing for each of her masters, guests. However, it was the sight of her master in such a weakened state that made her worry, and wished she could do something to help ease his suffering. Haku knew he endured the pain rather than let it heal. It was clear by the way the Sith was taught by whoever had been the teacher, and a cruel teacher at that. From what she sensed from Darth Sage, he was using his pain as a focal point of his power, and there was a lot of pain to be sure with the amount he used against his enemies. Still, too much of this darkness would destroy him before long, and Haku couldn't have that happen to her master. I'll be the light in your darkness, my master, thought Haku, as she would help her master of a Sith achieve his dream, and bring about the ambitious dream being set into motion. With Darth Sage, the Sith found the Force when he slept to be a truly interesting place when asleep, as it showed him the past of Konoha, the world, and more importantly, the land of Whirlpool that was his family's home. He saw their mastery over seals, how the Shodaime's own wife was an Uzumaki, and the Kyuubi's first Jinchuriki. The Force showed him how the Kyuubi being sealed inside of her was kept secret to only a select few, which involved the Sandaime Hokage himself, and another man that the Force aged to show was none other than Danzo. The image of what Whirlpool looked like at the height of its glory was shown burning, pain echoing all around it, and the killers of Naruto's ancestors being shown clear as day. They were Leaf Shinobi. Root Shinobi to be more precise. Hurry. Kill them all. Danzo-sama wants the Uzumaki bloodline to stay in Konoha so only the village can possess the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, said a Root Anbu captain to his subordinate. We're almost done on this end. I'm a bit surprised the Sandaime Hokage also signed off on this, said the Root Anbu of lieutenant rank. They both want the same thing. Control over the Kyuubi is essential to dominating of the elemental countries. With Uzumaki Kushina in the leaf, we don't need these threats to the village's plans, and risk the Kyuubi being sealed in one loyal to this place, said the Root Anbu captain before an Uzumaki thought to be slain struck from behind with a sword to the shinobi's back. You may have killed us. But know that when an Uzumaki is betrayed by those he or she once called friend, a curse is placed on the betrayers, said the Uzumaki shinobi before he was knocked the ground and had a sword pointed to his throat. Explain, said the Root Anbu lieutenant. Very well. The curse of the Uzumaki basically curses those who would betray us at the highest level, and see to it that the old eye for an eye punishes those responsible for it. In this case, your village will suffer many hardships, and losing those close to you. You said that the Sandaime Hokage and this Danzo character were responsible for this betrayal, so they will suffer the most. Everything they cherish and crave will be denied by this curse. You wish to control the power of Kyuubi, but it won't happen, as the fox will one day take its wrath out on your village, and take the lives of all you love. Everything they want in life will be taken from the grasp when they least suspect it, said the Uzumaki shinobi grinning while blood ran down his cheek and his injuries catching up with him. We'll be sure to pass that along to Hokage-sama and Danzo-sama, said the Root Anbu while preparing to strike them. No. You won't, said the Uzumaki, as he made several one-handed hand signs, and then put the hand into his chest with all the chakra he could bring into it. Before exploding in a blast of energy that killed the Root Anbu lieutenant and several other Root shinobi around him, and awakened the Sith from his vision. Master, did you see that vision from the Force? Thought Darth Sage with Darth Plagueis nodding while mentally cursing in several languages at the cosmic energy doing this. Indeed I did, my young apprentice. From what I could see, it was your mother's home before coming to Konoha, and was completely unaware of it being destroyed by Leaf Shinobi, said Plagueis while Kyuubi just watched the two talk from its cage. I think the Force is telling me to go there. Considering it happened so long ago, the place should be abandoned, and I could take my tools there to train in secret, thought Darth Sage while Plagueis leaned back on his throne, contemplating this idea, and while he didn't want to reveal the boy's heritage just yet, he might not have a choice in the matter. It's worth checking out. I would suggest making some shadow clones for this though, as you are still needed here for now, and we can't risk any mistakes, said Plagueis while the boy knew that tone of voice the Sith Lord used really meant all three of them couldn't risk any mistakes right now. I'll send a small squad of shadow clones after I'm better rested, thought Darth Sage, as he went back to sleep, and let the Force guide his mind once again. He's going to find out. Sooner than later, said Kyuubi at last while Plagueis could only grimace at that truthful fact. It's the will of the Force that he know about his mother's side, and what happened. It's when my apprentice learns it was his father, who was responsible for sealing you into him will we have a problem, and I will require your help to see that the boy stays focused on the main objective, said Plagueis with the fox nodding. I know. I also suspect the ramifications of the Force showing him what happened to Whirlpool won't set in until much later when he goes there personally to see it, said Kyuubi with the Sith Lord not that far away nodding in agreement. The dark side will be strong there. We must prepare him for whatever such things that destroyed part of your world can throw at him, said Plagueis knowing such places like Whirlpool were scattered on different worlds throughout the galaxy and saturated with the dark side of the Force after something with incredible impact echoed outward. Konoha 1 month later. Smoke rose from the Leaf, as the invasion led by Orochimaru had begun, and his forces charged through the village's walls to destroy their master's enemy. They were so confident that victory would be at hand, as Suna was on their side, and would be backing him up in key areas for the invasion. Sabaku no Gara was in the large stadium where the Chunin exams was taking place and would be vital to the pincer movement that was designed to cripple the Leaf. However, the plan never reached a third of its true potential, as Suna had done absolutely nothing in terms of backing him up, used Gaara's demonic power to attack from within the village, or the snake summoning scrolls Orochimaru gave them to use. Instead, the forces of Suna had flanked them in a surprise attack of their own, and decimated the Snake Sannin's forces. Sound shinobi hidden in the stadium was struck down by hidden Suna shinobi. The Kazekage himself along with the Hokage were doing battle against the disguised Orochimaru, who had worn his own cage robes with the kanji for sound on the back of them, and a veil to cover his face while adding a small henge to his face to hide his yellow snake-like eyes. Of course, the Sannin had been furious the Kazekage had seemingly betrayed him, and while that was hypocritical of Orochimaru to think that considering what the original plan had been, it still hurt. In fact, Orochimaru had been so angry with the Kazekage, he failed to mention the betrayal to the Hokage, who had been unable to capture in the special prison his Sound 4 had been trained to make especially for this moment, and was now surrounded on all sides. This isn't possible. How did this happen? I altered my plans perfectly when an audience with the Kazekage wasn't possible to switch places with him. Why did he betray me? How did, wait, that brat, that robed brat with that damn sword played me for a fool. He wasn't working for the Leaf and he certainly didn't tell the Sandaime about my plans for the invasion to put them on edge. But why? How does the Kazekage benefit from all of this? Thought Orochimaru, as he knew escaping was the ideal plan, but with his Sound 4 dead, or captured it wasn't possible. It's time to finish you my former student. Something I should have done years ago, said the Hokage while the Sannin just grinned at him. Do you really want to do that, Sarutobi-sensei? I would think you would want to at least consider keeping me alive long enough to extract information about my former student Anko-chan during the second part of the Chunin exams. Said Orochimaru, making the Hokage's eyes narrow at him. He's bluffing, Sarutobi. Kill him now while you still have the chance. Don't make the same mistake twice. Said Enma in his adamantine staff form. Am I? When I was in the forest of death looking for the Uchiha, Anko-chan found me first, and we had a little chat before a boy with dark robes appeared. He claimed to be a Leaf shinobi, but now I see that's not the case, and we were both dancing to the tune that little brat played, said Orochimaru, seeing the Sandaime's eyes widen knowing who it was the Sannin was talking about. Naruto, said the Sandaime in a whispered voice. So that's his name. And the Kyuubi Jinchuriki himself no less. No wonder he was able to hurt me a month ago. Still, I'm curious about that power of his, and that strange sword he carries wields. I never sensed the fox's chakra being used against me the entire time, said Orochimaru, genuinely curious about how the boy did what he did and had been for the entire month after getting his new body ahead of schedule. So that's my secret financial backer's name. If he is the Kyuubi's vessel, then the boy is far stronger than Gaara, and could easily back up the claim of destroying my village in the event of betraying his trust. If Orochimaru tells him everything, it could ruin Suna's chance of rising to the top, and get clients to side with us, thought the Kazekage, as he saw the Hokage's desire to kill Orochimaru wavering slightly, and knew time was of the essence. I'm sure we can work out a suitable arrangement between us, Sarutobi-sensei. For old time's sake, said Orochimaru, as he saw the old man considering it, and grinned further with each passing second. Wind style, tornado of the abyss jutsu, said the Kazekage, as he had heard enough, and struck true with his S-class wind jutsu, hitting the snake Sannin before tearing the surprised man to shreds. What have you done? Said the Sandaime Hokage, seeing the Kazekage walk over to the dead body of Orochimaru and saw the legendary Kusanagi hidden within the dead man's remains. Doing what you lack the willpower to do yourself, Hokage-sama. Orochimaru is a snake to the very end. Had you given him what he asked, it would have been a disaster waiting to happen, and I do not trust the snake Sannin to leave my village alone after this, said the Kazekage while taking the sword from the corpse, and decided this would be a nice souvenir to hold on to. It was not your decision to make, said the Hokage while scowling at his ally. Nor was it your decision to consider his offer in helping to hunt down your lost Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Perhaps you should consider retiring again and let someone much younger take the title of Hokage, said the Kazekage, glaring at the older man. As long as I draw breath, the title of Hokage will be mine, and only when I am ready to name a successor will one be announced, said the Sandaime Hokage, with the Kazekage just letting out a snort while walking away. Do what you want with your village. It makes little difference to me. However, I think you're going to have a difficult time explaining to the Fire Daimyo how this happened, and why you were so unprepared you were for Orochimaru's invasion. Even more when he finds out you actually considered his offer in letting him live to hunt down the Kyuubi Jinchuriki without any guarantee the man would do it, said the Kazekage before he left the angry Hokage, knowing his words hit home. That was uncalled for, said Jiraiya from behind a tree the Kazekage had walked past once the man reached the ground. Says the writer of those perverted Ika Paradise books, said the Kazekage calmly, with Jiraiya making a strange face at the insult to his precious books. There is nothing wrong with what I do on the side, said Jiraiya defensively. Still, I require your assistance in the future with my youngest son, and his seal being less than stable, said the Kazekage, as the entire month leading up to the exams had led him to a painful revelation regarding his youngest son, and just how badly things could soon become if Gaara did not regain some of his sanity. The boy's mother crying out her dying declaration of Gaara being Suna's destroyer was ringing louder in his head. Your boy is a Jinchuriki, huh? All right, I'll take a look at the seal. From what I saw, the kid's lacking sleep, and no doubt his life in Suna had been less than pleasant, said Jiraiya while wondering why the Kazekage was suddenly interested in his son's neglected health. Let's just say I wish to make things less difficult for him and leave it at that, said the Kazekage before leaving with his forces back to Suna. Gato Kanpani Underground. Hinata awoke to find herself on a bed that for a month had not been her own, as she got ready to once again face the day, and looked around her room she was in while recalling how things had changed since encountering Uzumaki Naruto in the Forest of Death. The day she first awoke in this room, Hinata had first been terrified until the memory of how it happened kicked in, and the Sith had Haku have them all come out of their assigned rooms so they know who was chosen from the Chunin exams. Hinata saw a few of the Leaf Shinobi, who had been participating in the Chunin exams like herself, a female Iwa Shinobi, another female with red hair from Grass, and 3 Shinobi from Kumo. The last of the group being her least favorite for obvious reasons pertaining to the girl's childhood, but Hinata ignored them despite the eyes of those 3 women looking in her direction, and the thought of who she was ringing through the collective minds. The special Junin, who was the head proctor of the Forest of Death, had been less than civil upon being let out of her room, as she swore, drew a kunai, and basically threatened to castrate Naruto unless he let everyone go. Hinata saw the Sith counter the woman's threats by force choking her off the ground, threw the special Junin against the wall, pinned her there with a few seal tags, and told Haku to use senbon needles on her body for target practice until Anko promised to behave. Tenten had tried to intervene, but the boy's glare in challenging him made the weapon user freeze, and basically watch while Haku assaulted Anko's body with needles. While this happened, Naruto had explained that he had gone through a transformation of sorts to those that knew him as Uzumaki Naruto, and that person had been dead for roughly 4 years. That he had become something beyond that frail and weak boy the Leaf had come to enjoy abusing for their own sick amusement into what stood before them while going by his new name. Darth Sage. The red-haired girl with glasses had asked about the young Sith's dark power, as she was curious about it, and Darth Sage had informed her it was another source of energy within him before telling the girl to drop it. Another thing the young Sith did was inform them that they were his to command, to obey every order given, and to expect punishment for defying him unless they had a damn good reason to do it with the reward outweighing the risk. Tenten had objected to this, as she stated that her loyalty was to the Leaf, even if Neji had been a jerk to her, and wouldn't serve someone like him in a million years. That the path to becoming strong like Senju Tsunade could still be obtained by being a Leaf Shinobi and do things differently from now on. Again, Darth Sage was not impressed by the girl's sudden outburst, and Tenten paid for it with a blast of Sith lightning that lasted for a little over a minute. But from the looks of the agony the weapons user's face, a mere minute of that must have seemed like pure hell, and felt like it lasted much longer. Still, Hinata could see it got the message across clearly to the others, as they saw the Sith was dead serious, and if they wanted to stay alive to get stronger they would get serious too. For the next month, the boy she once knew as Uzumaki Naruto had trained them all like there was no tomorrow while Haku kept a keen eye on each one, and made sure they didn't get any ideas of going rogue. Anko herself had been a bit difficult to break, but once Naruto covered the floor with water, and a few repeated uses of 1,000 needles of death had done wonders for the woman's attitude. The woman also was more compliant after hearing Orochimaru had been slain by the Kazekage himself after the failed invasion, which the Sith revealed he had a hand in altering so the Sannin was caught in his own pincer movement, and then ultimate demise. Further proof of this showed when Anko found the curse seal on her neck was no longer there and was free from the Sannin forever. Yet, Anko still wished to leave, of that much Darth Sage could sense from her, and further preyed on the woman's greatest fears. That even if he allowed Anko to return to the Leaf, regardless of the curse seal being gone, the village would never accept her, and if they did, it would be false in how the people viewed her. The Sith told the woman that just because the curse seal was gone didn't mean Anko would just suddenly change into her true self, because the special Junin was already acting like her true self and nothing would ever change that. The Leaf would never admit that they had treated her wrong, just like they would never admit to mistreating the certain Kyuubi Jinchuriki who never asked to be the Kyuubi Jinchuriki in the first place. Why go back, Anko? You know what awaits you back in Konoha. They'll spit on you at first, call you a traitor, a deserter, and possibly accuse of siding with Orochimaru. Only after seeing the curse seal is no longer on your neck will they suddenly apologize, fake smiles all around, as they pray you'll take their word for it, and not slaughter them for the past transgressions that stirred the village into hating you from the start. Hinata remembered that painful truth-filled fact all too well, as did Anko herself, and was given the choice to leave this area to head for Konoha. That if the special Junin truly believed that things would change for the better and that life in the leaf wouldn't be a sugar-coated lie with fake smiles from everyone, then she could go home. If not, then she would stay, and help train his small yet strong troops in his name. After what seemed like hours, Anko chose to stay, and train the others in what she knew was teachable to them. Good morning Hinata-chan, said Haku, as she appeared without her mask today, a face filled with beauty, and made Hinata wonder if Naruto had taken a liking to the female ice user in a romantic way. Good morning to you too Haku-sama, said Hinata in a respectful tone, as she like the others were told immediately of Haku's position being the Sith's right hand, and thus would be obeyed when orders were given when he wasn't there himself. Is everyone awake? Said Haku, as she only saw Hinata at the moment, and knew that some of them liked to sleep in. Yes, some of them are getting up. Lee has been up for what looks like a while doing push-ups. How Sage-sama convinced Lee to leave the green spandex suit I'll never know, said Hinata before giggling at the memory of how Lee tried to defend his former sensei's style of fashion in front of the Sith. A steel shipping container was crushed into a ball and thrown into wall, leaving a massive dent upon impact, while Darth Sage just glared at the slightly older boy. I don't either, but it's clear Sage-sama got his message across, and that's what matters, said Haku before she saw the others coming out of their rooms, fresh, clean, and ready to tackle the day. Where is Sage-sama? Said Lee in his outfit, which was not tight-fitting like the green spandex, but black pants, combat boots, crimson metal-colored armored pieces over his equally crimson-colored shirt, and was wearing a black gauntlet around his hands. I honestly do not know. He has been away on business for the past week and has yet to return from it, said Haku, and the worry on her face showed slightly since it was clear he never went this long without returning. I'm right here, said Darth Sage coldly, as he entered the room, and they could tell by his stance the trip had weighed down heavily on him. Master, are you all right? Said Haku, seeing him stagger a bit, and then make his body stand up straight. I'm fine. I'm just tired from my long trip, Haku. Nothing you need to concern yourself with, said Darth Sage hoarsely and breathing heavily now. No, it is my concern. You're not well, said Haku, as she saw the stress of whatever this place he visited had caused upon him, and now needed rest. I said I'm fine, Haku, said Darth Sage angrily, as he prepared to use the dark side of the Force on her, which would be an absolute first since she joined him, but given his current mood after traveling he didn't really care at this point in time, and was about to unleash Sith lightning when his strength gave out before collapsing on the ground. Sage-sama, said Haku, was at his side in an instant and held him close to her form. What's wrong with him? Said Tenten, having never seen him in this state since being forced to join and was probably the only member of this group that still had lingering thoughts of leaving it. I don't know, but he needs rest, and our help, said Haku, as she took him to her room since it was the closest bed on hand, and removed the Sith robes to get a better look at his face before everyone gasped at the sight of it. The boy looked like he had been hit with a sickness beyond their understanding and had dark twisted veins showing throughout his skin, while the Sith seemed to be struggling within himself. Over what, they weren't sure, but Karen mentioned her sensory abilities showed the dark energy swirling violently inside his body powered by his very rage, and that wherever he went had brought about this storm to an apex that threatened to consume him from the inside. What should we do? Said Hinata, as she along with the others turned to Haku, and the girl stood by the boy with a calculating look on her face. You are all going to continue your training like you did yesterday. I will try to find a way to heal Sage-sama, said Haku, getting shocked looks from Karen, Tenten, and even Anko. Why? He was about to attack you with his powers. If anything, you should be taking a Senbon needle straight to brain, said Tenten while Haku caressed his slightly sweating forehead. Because I am his tool. I live to serve him and he gives me purpose. Zabuza-sama was the same way when I was healing him, yet he never once struck me, even when the urge was there, and knew deep in his heart that striking his tool would accomplish nothing, said Haku, as she went into her bathroom and got a wet towel to put on the young Sith's forehead. But in his condition, there is nothing stopping you from living your own life, and being free to be your own person. We could all go right now and act, said Tenten, as she was quickly grabbed by the throat by Haku, and pinned to the wall with the female ice user glaring daggers at the girl. Never suggest that again. I will never abandon Sage-sama. My life and purpose is to see him succeed. To be his shield and sword should he require me to take their shape. To cast down all betrayers and deserters that threaten him in some shape or form. Your words are near the edge of those things, girl, and if you ever speak them again in my presence, I will break you, said Haku coldly before throwing the stunned Tenten on the floor and then walking towards her master. What a freak, thought Tenten, as she had never seen someone so submissive to another, and do just about anything for that individual. Tenten's thoughts on the matter were shattered seconds later when Darth Sage sat up with the speed of Maito Guy without weights on. He looked at Tenten, his face a look of fury, the eyes a reddish yellow, and showed a rage no one had seen on him now directed at Tenten. Sage Sama, said Haku in bewilderment, as he got out of the bed, ignoring her entirely, which may have been a good thing considering how angry the Sith was at the moment, and grabbed Tenten by the neck like the female ice user had only mere moments ago before carrying her out of the room. If there is one thing I will not tolerate, it's insubordination from my tools, and any of their whispers of possible desertion after all I've done to make them stronger than your supposed betters, said Darth Sage, his anger clearly directed at the terrified bun-haired girl. I'm sorry, Sage Sama, said Tenten, as she realized her words, and thoughts had sent him over the edge after whatever he had seen in his recent travels had pushed him to the very brink. No, you're not. Not yet. But you will be soon. Of that I can assure you. Haku, Anko, said Darth Sage with both women kneeling before him a second later. Yes, Sage Sama, said Haku and Anko at the same time. Get this tool out of my sight and re-educate her in ways of understanding that my word is law, said Darth Sage through Tenten to Anko and Haku. Yes, Sage Sama, said Haku and Anko before they took a weakly protesting Tenten away from him. Sage Sama, said Hinata taking a step forward while the others watched the young Sith standing there with his mind focused on something before turning sharply to face the Hyuga girl. Be careful, Hinata-san. Just because you mean him no harm doesn't mean he'll attack out of anger, thought Lee to himself. What? Said Darth Sage with the Hyuga girl bowing slightly to show she meant him no harm and saw the others keeping a healthy distance from him. What happened on your trip to make you so angry? Said Hinata, seeing the Sith's eyes flash with rage for a second before they seemed to show more stability. And his face didn't look so sickly. I saw my ancestry homeland of Whirlpool where my mother was born. With my power, I felt the spirits of my ancestors all around me call out for justice be done against their killers, and destroyers that had betrayed them. The dark side was so powerful there I was overwhelmed by the images they showed, and I didn't know how to vent it, said Darth Sage, seeing Hinata take a step forward and surprising everyone. She hugged him. You don't have to bottle it up, Sage Sama. It's not healthy, said Hinata, as she felt him stiffen the moment they made contact, and didn't return it for a few seconds. You are correct, Hinata. It is unhealthy, said Darth Sage, knowing his masters had told him to be mindful of what he expect when they arrived at Whirlpool. Sage Sama, if I may speak, said Yugito, taking a step forward with the Sith looking at her while slowly breaking free of Hinata's hug. Speak, said Darth Sage while looking at her. We were wondering what your next move was concerning us, said Yugito with the others nodding since they wished to know. Simple. It won't be long before this location is discovered by Jiraiya of the Sannin, as he has been away on other business recently, but I believe knows our main location is here, and will come for us all. So I have decided that the best thing for us to do is relocate to Whirlpool, said Darth Sage, seeing they were shocked by this news. Whirlpool. But. Why? That place is, said Lee at a loss for words. In ruins. A place where I nearly had a psychotic break. I know. I'm over it. Besides, I intend to rebuild Whirlpool from the ground up, and bring about my new empire from that very place. My ancestors will have their revenge and we will be the ones who deliver it upon them, all of them, said Darth Sage, as he knew there were other guilty parties, and would punish others that had a hand in the creation of all 9 Jinchuriki in the world. He would enjoy making this world shake down to its very foundation and rebuild it into his own image using the bodies of his enemies to build it on. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.